Welcome to Speaking Read Aloud, the introduction session. In this session, we'll look at what this particular question type is about. We'll go through all the basics that you need to keep in mind, as well as we're going to see what are the things that you need to take care of to score well in this particular question type. All right. So the first, the things to remember. So you'll have 6 to 7 questions of this type in the exam. Okay. Well, on your screen, you'll see a sentence. And then what you have to do is you have to read that sentence aloud, okay, into the microphone. So there'll be a timer depending upon, the length of the sentence. You will get 30 to 40 seconds before which the microphone will open up, and then you'll have to give your response. So use those 30 to 40 seconds to understand the sentence, to, quickly go through the sentence, have a look at what words you need to put emphasis on, where you're going to pause, where you're going to raise your voice, where you're going to lower your voice. And if you see that any words that are unfamiliar to you, then sort of, rehearse in your mind how you're going to say that once the microphone opens up. Okay? So use that 30 to 40 seconds that you have before the microphone opens up very wisely. That's very important. Now, this is what the screen will look like. So, in your recording section, you'll see a status bar which will tell you how much time is left before which the audio will start playing. And then as soon as the audio ends, you'll hear a tone, and that's when you'll have to start speaking, start giving your response. And while giving your response, also keep an eye on, the progress bar, so which tells you how much time is left, how many seconds are left. Okay? So try to complete your response within the time limit, because that's what you'll be scored upon. All right. The very first thing that you'll be scored upon is the content. Content means have everything that's said in the sentence. So have you been able to read the whole sentence? Have you been able to read aloud the whole sentence? If you do that, then you get full marks for the content. And after that, they'll test you for other things like your pronunciation, your fluency. Um, were you able to identify which parts of the sentence were important and emphasize that by your voice? So all those things will matter after that. So this is a test of your reading skills as well as your speaking skills. So you'll get marks for both of those things, uh, from this question type. Okay, so it's very important. What are the things that you have to keep in mind to score well? First of all, your pronunciation should be good. Okay, you should be able to pronounce the words correctly. So what that means is, if there's any word that's difficult or which is sort of unfamiliar to you, then in the first 30-40 seconds try to just practice how you're going to pronounce it. So that's very important. Secondly, you have to pause at the right places in the sentence. So whenever you see a comma, whenever you see a full stop, that means that's where you have to pause. Okay? Some people, they just run through the sentence. That's not the correct way. You don't just have to read it out. You have to be able to read it out in a way that the other person understands. Which part is important, um, what's the intention of the person who's speaking. So that's very important. And you convey that by pausing at the right places, by emphasizing the words that are more important. Okay? So that's very important. Finally, you have to be able to raise and lower your voice at the correct places. So whenever you're finishing your point, whenever you're finishing a sentence, that means, at that point of time, you can lower your voice. So coming to a comma or coming to a full stop, that means, you are finishing a point, so you can lower your voice. All right. And when you have to compare certain things, so for each of those things, you can raise your voice a bit. So we'll see a lot of this in the practice questions. And, when we do the practice, we'll see, how we um, actually put all of this into practice. And also, before beginning this practice, you would have already taken the master class on speaking. So a lot of these ideas are also discussed in much more detail there. Okay, so keep all of that in mind. Another thing that I want to emphasize is, uh, the pace. So if you speak too fast, rush through the sentence, or if you speak too slowly, okay, pausing at each word or after every two words, then that gives an impression that you are not very fluent. You have to come across fluent. So a way to do that is to divide the sentence, into smaller parts, into smaller chunks. Okay? And that's something that you can also practice every day. So for each, a couple of words or few words, try to take a larger passage and each few words, every two or three words, try to break them, say them together. As you get more practice, you can increase the size of your chunks. So that's how uh, you will figure out what pace, your voice comes out the best at. All right, so experiment a bit with it. Take some sentences, record them. So speak some of them very slowly, speak some of them, at a faster pace, and then let someone, in your family or some friends hear it, and tell them, which one sounds more fluent. So that will help you understand, how your voice comes out the best. Okay. Uh, Another thing that I want to emphasize is on that if you have not already done so, please go and subscribe to our Facebook page. Okay, so facebook.com Sureway English. So subscribe to that page. We pretty much every day, you'll find uh, some audio practice, some reading practice, materials to do that, to improve your English skills every day. So I tell this to a lot of students. We tell them that in the morning while going to work, or in the evening or during your lunch break, you can just take a small passage, you can listen to a small audio. But what happens is that a lot of people, they are just not able to get into that routine. They are not able to put that into practice. But pretty much everyone logs into Facebook, or yeah, they are into that habit. So if you just go to the Facebook page every day, you will find all these things. So instead of you having to go out and get these audios or get these news articles to read out, we bring them all together on a Facebook page so that you can just do your daily practice there. And it it won't help you just for this particular exam. It's something, it's a skill for lifetime. All right. So even after you clear your PT academic exam, you have to continue improving. So it's very important. All right. So those are the things to keep in mind. And again, as we do more and more practice, each one of these points will become clearer. All right. So you're ready now? Please go to practice set number one. All the best.